Hello and welcome to another edition of Son of Kaiju Review.
Man with half face!
I'm Protomet.
I'm Tank.
And today we'll be taking a look at War of the Colossal Beast.
The sequel to The Amazing Colossal Man.
And came out just the very next year. It had absolutely nobody from the first movie involved.
Not
as
at
far
all.
as I could tell.
Besides Glenn Manning. Wait.
Nope.
No, that was a completely different actor, too.
Yes.
Yeah, like, literally no one returned.
At least as far as actors. I'd have to look into it a bit more to see if any of the actual production team, like the director and writer, were involved with the first movie, but...
I didn't recognize anybody from the cast.
Also, I'm a bit surprised
Okay,
that...
but when they just had some flashback things.
Yeah,
but
but...
that's a flashback.
That doesn't count.
They just reused footage.
For whatever reason, this movie was licensed by Scream Factory, a subsidiary of Shout Factory, but the first movie wasn't. So, I don't know.
Wasn't that a bootleg?
The one we have is a bootleg, yes.
No, we didn't bootleg it.
We just needed the video for our footage.
Yep.
That we will probably not actually use.
It's just nice to have things. Okay?
Yeah,
Okay.
just in case we ever do need it. That's.
Yeah.
But yeah. So.
Yeah, you might
also,
go into a Hall of Fame sometime.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, heck, I managed to use the footage from it for one of the more recent.
Countdowns, I think.
I was gonna say book corners, but that was still a long time ago.
Oh yeah, that was your
Atomic Rex.
Ooh. You did a good storytelling on that. I just have to say.
I was impressed that the writer of the book actually left a comment on the video.
That's always nice.
He said that all my guesses were spot on for what the inspirations for the monsters were. So
That's cool.
I'm giddy about that, but that's besides the point. This movie is set sometime after the events of the first movie. Glenn Manning has been presumed dead after falling off of a dam.
The Hoover Dam.
And now in Mexico.
Charlos, Mexico.
Guavos.
A guy comes into a police station asking the police officer about a missing vehicle.
And this is preceded by a scene in which a guy driving said stolen vehicle runs from something and collapses in screaming and...
I think he collapsed from exhaustion, honestly.
Probably. But he was screaming a lot.
Yes. He does scream a lot.
But the guy who's trying to get his food truck back finds that the police have the guy who stole it in their custody.
Yeah.
And he is...
Okay, simple enough. The guy is in a hospital bed, and the owner of the vehicle just starts to manhandle this kid. Where's my truck? Where's my truck? And like the police officer and the doctor have to kind of dude, I swear I can't talk today.
Yeah, the owner of the truck and I want to say the local sheriff or something go out to investigate the missing truck and find the tracks for it, but not the truck.
Nope.
Indicating that it seemingly either vanished or flew upwards.
It flew upwards, but not by being picked up, most likely.
And this story somehow was newsworthy to make it all the way up to the U.S., where there's a report on it, or a guy basically is a bit mocking about the news story, and it's like, come on, dude.
Yeah, just like,
It's like
the Colossal Man is back, apparently.
No, nobody says that right now, but a particular woman does spot the news report and decides to go down to Mexico to investigate.
Yes.
Turns out it is Joyce Manning, the younger sister of Glenn. You would think that maybe it would be
His wife?
his fiance.
Yeah.
But nope, his sister, who has never
been mentioned at all in the previous film.
Which is par for the course for this movie, having no one involved from the first movie.
They probably got the script, and they're like, I ain't dealing with this.
So some U.S. Major, Mark Baird, and some scientist, Dr. Carmichael, go down to search for Glenn.
Well, they find footprints.
They do find footprints.
And then they technically do find him.
Yeah, before that, Joyce does have a bit of a meeting with the catatonic thief. For the record, the guy didn't actually steal the truck.
He was driving away, he was running for his life.
Yeah. But it's only after he starts screaming in Spanish and and the sheriff translates that he was screaming about some giant man that Joyce finally is able to make the solid connection. Oh, that's my missing brother.
Yep. So the owner of the truck gets his bread that he had, apparently, or had some new bread made.
Yeah, they do find Glenn, who now has part of his face missing, with exposed bone, which is a cool visual. The poster looks cool, and that's actually how I was introduced to Glenn Manning.
Really?
A picture of the poster was included next to an entry for the character in the Encyclopedia of Monsters, which I would always borrow from the library. I wish I had a copy of my own.
Is it expensive?
It's last I checked, it was a bit pricey, but for as old as it was, that was kind of to be expected.
Yeah.
So it's something that I would definitely pick up again, even if it is now wildly inaccurate with a lot of its information. But on the plus side, it does have a lot of more obscure monsters from like comic books and stuff that nobody would ever else even talk about.
Yeah.
So. I mean, heck, it even had entries for like video games. Well, to give you a good idea of about when it came out, it mentions the Legend of Zelda in a particular entry towards the end.
Ganon?
Well, just monsters in general.
Oh.
It wasn't limited to giant monsters.
Oh, okay.
Like it was called the Encyclopedia of Monsters and had like copyright-free versions of Frankenstein, Dracula, werewolf, and a gill man.
Okay.
And a mummy on the cover. But it was through that I was actually able to learn a lot about even Godzilla monsters to try and piece together, okay, when did this one movie come out?
There's an order. Trying to figure it out.
We have it.
Yeah, we got it.
I know, but anyway, getting back to Glenn Manning.
They leave the truck, and Glenn ends up getting and eating the bread.
Yeah, turns out Glenn had been stealing food trucks to eat.
Yep. And they do ask about how his like with his bone, his eye missing and like the exposed bone. Like the doctor kind of explains like, well, he probably hit his head on the way down, and then like, without anyone healing.
Anyone to treat the wound, it just kind of necrotized.
Yep, pretty much. I don't mind the look.
No, I think the look is fine. I mean, it's very obviously prosthetics.
Oh, yeah.
But, it's like old school prosthetics, though it looks obvious now, but back in the day, I could see it. It definitely looks better on the poster, but...
Well...
That's artwork for you.
Yep.
That's always going to look better. Unless you've got a really good prosthetician. Like, say, Tom Savini or something.
Oh, yeah.
But this was like 58, so...
He might have been an infant. Oh, so they end up... apparently they might have drugged the bread, so Glenn ends up passing out, and then they tie him up and put him on a plane.
And bring him to Los Angeles.
And, like, people keep asking, well, we can't have this plane certainly land because they have the Colossal Man.
Oh, God, there's so much of a runaround with the various branches of the government. Like, I think reporters are asking one politician what they're going to do with Glenn. And it's like, oh, talk to this department. And the department is like, oh, talk to this department.
It's pretty much, I'm thinking they're going back and forth. Because none of the departments know what the fuck they're going to do.
And it kind of seems like maybe they don't want to have to deal with the problem.
Yep. So they finally get to the airport, but the people are saying, like, okay, we got to let you fill up, but you're going to have to just keep, flying.
Eventually they manage to convince somebody to let them use an unused hangar to store Glenn, where they try to keep him sedated while also trying to restore his mental facilities because he doesn't.
He is like
a crazed animal.
That or feral.
Like a crazed animal?
Yes. Like a coyote.
I mean, he clearly is not in his right mind.
No.
He clearly doesn't even remember anything about who he even is. Mm-hmm. They do try to jog his memories, but...
By showing him, like, pictures and stuff like that, and you're just growling, "Arr! Arr!"
They even try showing him his own a picture of himself, and he has little recognition of it.
Like, all the scientists and the doctors and the military men are trying to ask him questions, and, he's just growling at them, and his sister finally tells him something, and he kind of stops, but then kind of more pulls on his rope.
He does break free, but then they manage to subdue him again and use bigger chains to hold him down.
Yep.
We get a chunk of this movie that is just flashbacks of the first movie.
I can't complain. I like the first movie.
Yeah, but it does keep reminding me of how much better the first movie is.
Yeah, the first movie, everyone got a backstory. This one, they're just tossed in there.
Yeah, this movie definitely assumes that you've already seen the first movie because it really doesn't try to do any sort of development at all.
Just
I'll talk about that a bit more with our final thoughts.
Yes. So he's chained down, and I believe they sedate him. There is a scene where, like, they kind of get into an argument with the Red Cross because they need
plasma because Glenn was injured.
Yep.
At some point, I think he was injured during his first escape.
Yeah.
So they need blood plasma to treat his injuries. But they need, 10 gallons of it.
You'll get your blood back, just, we need this now.
Yeah, like we said, nobody wants to actually deal with this problem except for the people who are already dealing with it.
Yeah, just like... Why did we have to go search? Well, this thing is killing people and destroying vehicles.
But anyway, Glenn manages to break free again.
Oh, yes, but this time he actually gets out of the hangar and...
Also, he apparently kills the doctor off screen because one of the characters just casually mentions that he's dead.
I think it was up in a more darker scene, because they thought Glenn was sleeping, but he was awake. He kind of...
He feigned sleeping.
Yep. And then he popped this giant lock, and chains came loose. And I think the doctor heard the chain pop, and then he probably died off screen.
Yeah, like I said, he died off screen. Like, they couldn't even get him a death scene. This movie does have a decent death scene in it.
Yep.
By taking footage from the first movie.
Yep.
The big needle scene from the end of the previous movie. The most impressive kill in this movie is not even technically from this movie.
That's true. The giant syringe.
But so now he's free. At one point, there's this like couple of kids who took like a bus up to the top of a hill.
I'm thinking it was like a class, like not like a field trip of some sort.
It just seems so weird that it would be so late, but who knows? Maybe the whole situation with the monster kept them from leaving. And then like the girl's mother shows up to try and talk to an officer to see if her daughter's there because she wants to give her coat because it's cold out.
She should have brought her coat. I kept telling her to grab her coat, but she forgot her coat.
And then when Glenn shows up to kind of menace the school bus full of kids, the mother tries to rush forward to do anything.
Okay, folks. Glenn Manning is 60 feet tall.
Like, what are you going to do? Tell him off?
She is going to write him a stern letter.
Like, thankfully, the nearby police officer who... For whatever reason, I recognize, but I can't recall from where. Maybe it's just somebody who looks like somebody else.
Yeah, probably.
He manages to grab her and keep her from running off, and I think...
Running to her death.
I think Joyce does manage to talk Glenn down.
Yeah, he ends up putting down the bus. He does, like, nobody dies in the bus. They're just... Well, they might have had heart attacks.
Jumble a bit, yeah, but they're otherwise no worse for wear. Yep. And then Glenn, realizing what he's done, grabs some power poles and then just kind of dies off screen.
Yep. Okay. I believe it's the same way the 50-foot woman died.
I cannot remember how that movie ended.
She walked into a power line and then she got electrocuted. Just because she was 50 foot didn't mean she wasn't human.
Right, but yeah, it's like it's a very
it's a short movie.
Eh.
Well, it's not short.
It's not that short. It's a little over an hour long, but it isn't paced very well.
No.
Part of it is taken up by flashback summarizing the first movie. Mm-hmm. Which comes so late into this movie that they basically already explained everything before this flashback stuff even happens. So it's like, okay.
But I'm thinking they're using this for Glenn's, like, memories.
Right, but he still remains feral up until the very end.
Yes.
And then his death scene just kind of happens.
It's very blasé.
Yeah, it's like well, yeah, electrocution, yeah.
Yeah. He literally grabs a hold of the things and gets shocked, and the end.
Yeah, just like no conclusion.
Nope.
There's no descending action. It just he's dead.
He's like, and of course his sister is probably heartbroken, even though we didn't see a scene.
I mean, I think she realized that Glenn, for that one moment, had finally come back to his senses and realized what he was doing, and and I think she knew that he knew. Mm-hmm. But yeah. Also, apparently there was a relationship between Joyce and the general.
Yep.
Or Major Baird.
Honestly.
It was just kind of there.
Just like, you're cute. I'm cute. Let's have a date or something. And not develop the story at all.
Yeah.
I prefer the first one.
Oh, definitely. The first movie had the whole Glenn Manning as an actual character.
Exactly.
With his mental struggles with dealing with what's happening to him.
He's
in addition to the
first
physical
one. He is having a mental breakdown because he can't stop growing.
Like that's compelling. We for once we get a giant monster movie where we get some perspective for the giant monster. Mm-hmm. And then this movie comes in and basically wipes the slate clean as far as his character.
It's rawr, rawr, rawr.
The design looks cool.
Oh yes, very
especially
cool.
On the poster.
Like we said.
With the partially exposed face. Mm-hmm. But unfortunately, that's all it really has going for it.
Yes, Glenn ends up saying like 2 words and realizes, then he goes and zap zap.
Yeah. Just...
I'm not saying this movie is bad, but it's not good.
Yeah. I would definitely say that if you're going to watch this movie, watch it within close proximity to the first movie.
Yes, so you know what's going on.
That and you'll have already seen a good movie.
That too. We've made a mistake a few times in the start of Gamezillong.
Oh, yes.
No.
But those are topics for other days.
Yep. That was a terrible night.
But yeah, this makeup effects look fine for the time.
Mm-hmm. There was no story for the humans, or well, I guess Glenn is human, but giantized human.
It was all focused on the giant, on the Colossal Beast, as he, I guess, is now. Because, you know, it's a different movie with a different name.
Yeah. It's... I don't know. There's probably some people out there that enjoyed this, but it's just not for me or you.
Yeah.
I
mean, the first movie was good enough that I will never forget the name Glenn Manning. And this movie just is... a continuation of that, but worse.
Yeah.
Like, it's far from unwatchable, but it's definitely lacking when it comes to the first. We have definitely seen worse movies.
Oh, God, yeah. We've talked to one, made a podcast on one called King Dinosaur.
Oh, yeah, the movie where that King Dinosaur doesn't even show up until the final quarter of the film. I'm still pissed off about that.
Fucking iguana. They couldn't even claymation an actual dinosaur.
Claymation an actual dinosaur. That is an oxymoron there, Brian.
I realized it but after I got done saying it, but I keep it. It's mine.
Yeah. But, yeah, that movie was bad for other reasons. This movie is just lacking compared. It had the curse of coming after a much better predecessor.
There's a lot of films out there where like, oh, we need to continue the story. Let's make a sequel, and then the sequel does not keep up with the hype of the original.
So Godzilla raids again.
Yeah.
Thankfully, King Kong vs. Godzilla came around, and everybody changed their opinion of Godzilla.
Yep.
It's like, hey, maybe we can make a film series with this guy.
Yep. Let's just have him fight other things.
Not to knock Raids again. That's an okay movie, but
Down goes Anguirus. Down goes Anguirus.
Still one of my favorite moments from the original Kaiju review.
Oh yeah.
But bringing it back to War of the Colossal Beast, this is an okay movie.
Yes. I could have it play in the background. I'll do something else. I won't physically watch it.
It's inoffensive.
Exactly. But the roaring did get kind of old. Roar.
Kind of the whole stereotypical Frankenstein-esque roaring. Which I get. At this point, Glenn is mentally deficient due to his injury, so...
It gets a little bit of his sense back, and like I said, zap zap.
Yep.
I don't know if I have anything else to say.
I'm out.
All right. Bye, guys.
Say,